Well, good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 28th of March. And is that app spying on you? That is going to be the topic tonight. And a very warm welcome to all of you who are returning to my channel, and a great shout out to any first time viewers. I hope you enjoy the content, and maybe tonight might be a little bit scary, but if you do, please like, comment and subscribe below. It really does help when you do that, and it's great to have you as part of the conversation. Now, I came across this article on Zero Hedge, and it is about a gay dating app and the potential for that app to be used as a blackmail tool. Anyway, I thought I'd do a little bit of research into this particular issue, and I found that there are literally hundreds of apps, especially free apps, but not necessarily, could be a paid for app, is collecting your data. And it is extremely hard to find out which apps these are. It is extremely hard to find out who these apps are owned by. This particular app in the article is owned by a Chinese company, and of course there is great security concerns over that kind of thing. Now, I think we shouldn't be surprised that we are being spied upon. Edward Snowden, I think, made it pretty clear that the NSA and most countries are monitoring just about all cell phone use, text messaging, emailing, website searches, this kind of stuff. I mean, there really isn't a thing that we do in our everyday lives now because we're so interconnected with the internet. But the thought that we could be blackmailed by our web browsing searches. And of course there was, I think it was 2 years ago in Japan, there was this thing going around where you get an email and it threatened to release your web browsing searches to all the people in your email address book. And of course this would cause mass panic for an awful lot of people, and so the bribe was, you pay us this amount of money or we will release. And of course, you know, you guessed it, even if you paid the money, they still released the information. I'm sure that many of you by now have received emails from the government, the tax department, from Microsoft saying that your computer has a problem and we need to fix it. From the iPhone App Store, actually I get those emails all the time that my iPhone has been used to buy an app. Now what I do is I always check the email address, and that is a pretty good indicator, because you see some pretty bizarre examples of email addresses, and this is your first indication. But anyway, just to get back to the blackmailing thing, there are an awful lot of people who work in varying degrees of sensitivity in the workplace, from government workers who deal with top secret issues to just people who are going to work, who have to meet with the public, maybe have to work with children. You're a teacher maybe, or a daycare worker, or maybe just handling sensitive information for the company that employs you. And you would be very prone to being blackmailed, and who knows what websites people search, and of course who knows what people say when we're dealing with affairs of the heart. And this is a particularly vulnerable area for humans in general. And it is so particular that in France, for example, their legal system has a whole section of law dealing with crime of passion, because they know that when you are dealing with affairs of the heart, emotions are running high, and even the rational can behave in an irrational way. And so of course when you get onto these dating apps, you know, or Flickr or Tumblr or any of these photo information sharing apps, and all of these apps are designed by people who know, just like people who print books know, that when you're reading a book or when you're using the app, you don't want to be aware of the app itself. You only want to be aware of the data that you are dealing with, the pictures, the communications, the emails, and so on and so forth. And so one gets completely wrapped up in the communication back and forth, and who knows what people say to each other. Who knows what predilections people have with each other. And judging by all reports, I think that basically anything goes these days. And so, because we believe this to be absolutely private and inviolate, we assume that we can speak freely. And so if you get an app like this, which is owned by a Chinese company, and it is reaping data, and of course all Chinese companies come under the auspices of the government, that data can be seized and used against you. And this, of course, is a very dangerous situation, and this is why it's so disturbing when companies like Facebook are in league with the Chinese government and selling all kinds of information to Huawei. This is the company that wants to bring in 5G technology around the world. The owner of Huawei has deep and long connections with the Chinese government through the military. And I find it quite stunning, actually, that all of our leading American manufacturers have moved all of their businesses over to China and are getting real cozy with the Chinese government. And all of a sudden, you know, we have this spying, mass spying on all of the citizens by these corporations through things like apps and tracking programs on the internet, and of course by setting up websites which get you to apply for things. It's as simple as that. Anyway, let's take a quick look at these articles that I found, and when I come back I will give you an idea of something that you can do to help make yourself harder to find in the haystack. Okie dokie, let's take a look. Here we go. Okay, Zero Hedge, Chinese conglomerate to sell gay dating app after US raises national security concerns. Any US intelligent assets who also happen to be Grindr power users can breathe a sigh of relief. After reportedly deciding that a Chinese conglomerate's ownership of the popular LGBTQ dating app constitutes a national security risk, CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, has successfully pressured the firm to put the app up for sale. Reuters reported Wednesday that Chinese gaming company Beijing Kunlun Tech Company Limited is looking to sell Grindr to a US investment firm or possibly to a competitor after the Committee for Foreign Investment threatened to force a divestiture. Foreign companies aren't required to submit deals to the Committee of Foreign Investment. Reviews are voluntary. Although it's rare, this isn't the first time the Committee on Foreign Investment has pushed to reserve an acquisition for a US company by a Chinese firm. Prior examples include China National Aerotechnology Import and Export Corporation's acquisition of Seattle-based aircraft component maker Mamco, Rouse Corporation's acquisition of Four Winds Farm in Oregon, and Ironshores Inc.'s sale of Wright & Co., which provides professional liability coverage to government employees like law enforcement personnel to star companies. Canadian foreign investment isn't required to disclose its reasoning in these cases, but disclosures could reveal the agency's classified conclusions. Exactly why the Committee for Foreign Investment wouldn't want a state-linked Chinese conglomerate having unfettered access to such a sensitive trove of user data isn't difficult to infer. According to Grindr's user agreement, the app collects a trove of personal data, including users' location and, in some cases, HIV status. In recent years, the Committee for Foreign Investment has been more aggressive about blocking acquisitions where apps that collect user data are involved. Recent examples include MoneyGram and AppLovin. Hedge fund manager Kyle Bass put these concerns even more bluntly in a tweet where he claimed that the acquisition of Grindr was part of a Chinese plot to blackmail US personnel. Senators Edward Markey and Richard Blumenthal also drew attention to these concerns when they sent a letter to Grindr last year demanding to know how the app would protect user data under Chinese ownership. Kunlun took over Grindr in two separate deals between 2016 and 2018, acquiring a majority stake in 2016 for $93 million and buying out the rest of the company in 2018. And unlike Washington's objections about Huawei, the Chinese telecoms giant posing a national security threat, the risks associated with Grindr are even more immediate. given the sheer number of Chinese firms acquiring and investing in US apps, combined with the heightened scrutiny of user data privacy. This might not be the first deal to be undone by the Committee of Foreign Investment, raising another potential point of conflict in the ongoing US-China trade feud. But at least in this case, the prospect of China's MSS blackmailing US intelligence agents and other government employees with embarrassing revelations about their sex lives is just too horrifying to ignore. Hundreds of apps spying on users with ultrasonic tracking technology. Did you know that advertisers are using inaudible, high-frequency ultrasonic sounds to track your behavior across devices without your knowledge? It's a harrowing thought, but it's actually happening. With this method, ultrasonic sounds that can't be perceived by the human ear are embedded into TV or computer ads. Although these sounds are inaudible to you and me, these high-frequency sounds can be picked up by a smartphone or tablet's microphone, allowing marketers to pair browser cookies and to track a single user's behavior across multiple devices. These sounds can come from virtually anywhere: web pages, billboards, posters, cars, sports stadiums, retail outlets, etc. This is the first seamless way to track a single user's cross-device activity, and it naturally raised some privacy concerns from consumer protection groups such as the Center for Democracy and Technology. Well, I guess so. Facebook to shut down VPN app that lets it spy on users. Facebook is in the process of cleaning up yet another privacy mess. This time the company has announced that it will be shutting down a VPN app that was spying on its users. Facebook, however, has been using Onavo Protect to monitor mobile users' activities, whereas the company has paid users as young as 13 to install a Facebook research app that was built atop the VPN. As long as the users kept the app running, they got $20 a month. They even earned bonuses for referring other users. And here we are from Reuters. Facebook confirms data sharing with Chinese companies. Facebook Inc. FB.O said Tuesday it has data sharing partnerships with at least 4 Chinese companies, including Huawei. Oh, where have I heard that name before? The world's third largest smartphone maker, which has come under scrutiny from US intelligence agencies on security concerns. The social media company said Huawei Technologies, computer maker Lenovo Corp, and smartphone makers Oppo and TCL Corp were among about 60 companies worldwide that received access to some user data after they signed contracts to recreate Facebook-like experiences for their users. And this from the Asian Review. And there he is, President Xi Jinping. Xi, Huawei and China's powerful military-industrial complex. The arrest of Meng Wanzhou, daughter of Huawei Technologies founder Ren Zhengfei, has ignited an international furor. Canadian authorities detained her at the request of the US on the same day that Chinese President Xi Jinping and the US President Donald Trump were enjoying a sirloin steak dinner together at the G20 leaders meeting in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Meng, 46, is chief financial officer of a company with revenues close to $100 billion. Her father, Ren Zhengfei, 74, is a former officer of the People's Liberation Army, PLA. Meng holds multiple passports and owns 2 luxury homes in Vancouver. Well, I hope that you are as shocked as I am at the amount of spying and surveilling that is going on around the world. Different countries doing all the same things, spying on all of us. Now, there are some things that you can do to help this out. Firstly, of course, you can get an ad blocker. You can also download Ghostery, which tells you who is tracking you when you go and visit a particular website, and you can get them to block that tracking, and you'll be amazed when you see how many people are tracking your activity. Absolutely huge. And you know, it's always Google, Facebook, that kind of stuff. They're always right up there in every list that pops up with Ghostery. But one of the big things you can do is to lessen your exposure as a target, and the way you do this is not by hiding your information. It is by using a technique called surveillance. Now, you know what surveillance is. Sur means over, and so this is overlooking, overviewing. Well, sus means under, and so this is under the radar. And so what you can do is you can blur your online footprint by searching for all kinds of things that you're not even interested in. Quite often when I'm working in the house here cleaning up, I'll just set YouTube to autoplay, and I'll pick a topic like darning socks, or you know, hammering in a nail, or you know, something that I would never really look at in a million years, and I just let it play for 3, 4, 5 hours, and I do that randomly. Okay, I even have a little deal with a friend of mine who I trust completely, and we switch credit cards for about a month. He puts his spending patterns on my credit card, and I put my spending patterns on his credit card, and this just diffuses the whole thing. Don't leave a small footprint, leave a huge footprint. And this is still like any data collection. They may say that memory is just fine, but when you've got algorithms searching around, the more data that you can have in your profile, the harder it is to pin you down in any kind of profiling exercise. And that's what you want to avoid, because that's where we're moving into, ladies and gentlemen, is they are going to be profiling us online by our search patterns, by the things that we look at. I'm sure at some point there will be, the screen will be looking at us, just like 1984, and they'll be able to see where your eyes are looking and this kind of stuff. And so, yes, broaden your footprint and look out for fake emails, and be aware when you download that app, if it was free, it is probably spying on you. Anyway, if you enjoyed the information in this video, please like, comment and subscribe below. And in the meantime, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off, wishing you a great week ahead, and we will talk to you very, very soon. You take care now. See ya. Bye.